Now listen, I am 100% a survivor of dumb city spot-itis, or whatever it's called. It's real, it's contagious. You look at your map and you say, yeah, bustling trade capital should go right here, and then in the middle of a frozen cliffside desert that has no rivers or roads. Look, we've all done it. But we're better than that. We want our locations to be more than just the next dot on the map, right? Right. So today, let's fix that. Now, first of all, cities grow from towns, right? All towns were placed for a reason or rose from a specific situation. So no city just starts as a city. Every great city in history began as a village or a roadside inn or a cluster of houses or a religious spot. People don't just wander out into the wilderness and say, let's build a metropolis here because I like the vibes, right? It just doesn't happen like that. There's always a reason. So maybe it's geography, maybe it's safety, maybe it's access to something valuable, but it's never random. So what are those reasons? What makes people want to plop down in the middle of nowhere and begin a new life? And why do others flock to that spot? So let's talk about it. Well, first of all, geography, right? That's probably the biggest one and probably the easiest to overlook when you're just excited to draw a cool coastline or throw a volcano next to your starting town because you like the flavor, right? People settle near things that are going to help them survive. Water is king, especially, right? Rivers, lakes, coastlines, those are the lifelines for trade, for farming, for fishing, and not dying of thirst. That's why so many real-world cities, London, Cairo, Paris, New York, to name a few, sit on rivers or coastlines. Water isn't an aesthetic. It's not something that they do because they want some of the rich people in town to have a nice view. It's a super highway for boats and supplies and influence. And terrain is part of that as well, not just rivers and water, right? Hills and cliffs can also do that. They can offer defensible positions. Valleys offer shelter from weather. A mountain pass or a river that narrows, well, that becomes a choke point where you can build something like a fort or a port or a bridge or a toll or a crossing. Controlling it means you control movement, and if people have to come through your town, then you're going to make money, and probably a lot of it. And then to add to that, hard to reach places doesn't mean that it's pointless, right? Because some settlements are deliberately out of the way. So there could be places like monasteries or outlaw towns that are hiding, or hidden elf enclaves in the deep forest, right? That they don't want to be found. They might not be trade hubs, but they're outliers that have a different reason for existing. So you don't need to put everything in these places where you're more likely to spawn a town. You do need to have a reason for their being in the middle of nowhere. So unless your capital is full of monks and tree spirits, you should probably think about giving it a river, a road, and a reason to exist where it exists. Now the next one is resources. Because remember, people build settlements where there's something nearby that they can use, that they can trade, or that they can exploit, and that's just the truth. That could be natural resources, like iron, lumber, fertile soil, right? That's a big one, being able to grow food for your people. Salt is a big thing, magical crystals, whatever it is that your world runs on. So it could be food sources, so rivers that are full of fish. There could be plains nearby where there's lots of animals grazing. There's forests for hunting. There could be people-based resources like a crossroad for trading, a nearby fort that has a lot of soldiers that need food and board when they're marching, so a town naturally pops up near that fortress so that they can make money off of those soldiers. So I guess a better way to think about it is, what is the town known for? What would a merchant say to you if you asked, oh, what do they make here? What is this place known for? Because quests and stew might need a little bit of fluffing, you know? You want your cities to have economies, even if it's simple ones, and economies are based on resources. So if this place is known for its goat cheese and its enchanted wool because of some magical sheep, then that's the thing, right? It's known for its textiles or for its cheese. If it's sitting on a vein of ore, maybe a very rare mineral, then the entire political landscape is probably built around who controls the mine, and there's probably lots of people fighting over that mine. Or maybe it's the only place in the region that still grows a certain herb, one that just happens to be very useful for potions or poisons. Doing this helps not only justify the city because they have a reason to be around, they have something that they can make money off of, but it also creates these nice little hooks for your party, and maybe even big hooks. Resources create tension, right? So because everybody wants them and there's a city that has something valuable, then somebody else probably also wants it too. And so you can pull on those things, asking somebody to go get that herb that from the wild lands beyond the city, or to go to the mine to protect it, or to get money from a local vendor, right? There's a lot of little things that you can pull on by just thinking about the resources in the area. Now, next up is defense, because nothing stays on the map if it can't protect itself. Otherwise, it would be ruins, right? So it's really easy to forget that, especially in fantasy worlds where heroes are basically just walking around nuking goblins, every real world city has to deal with getting attacked by other cities, by invaders, by nature, by time. And the cool thing is that guess what? People probably planned for that. So that's why you get walled cities, you get hilltop fortresses, you get moats, you get choke points. That's why cities are on these cliffs or they're nestled inside mountain ranges. Geography is not just pretty, it's armor. So when you're placing a city, ask yourself, how would they survive a siege? Where would people run to if the walls were to fall? What's stopping raiders or armies or monsters from just strolling through the front gate? Even small towns should have a defensible center, so a keep, a church, a tower, somewhere that people can retreat to if wolves or worse come knocking. And if they don't, well, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, that's where your players can probably find work, or your characters. And honestly, defense creates world building. It tells you what people fear. It tells you what they've survived, and it gives your players a story in a way that isn't just by looking at the skyline and saying, like, oh, there's a university over there and a clock tower over here, right? They can figure out more about the world by understanding how the town defends itself. Now, if you need a cool map for a fortress, for example, let me introduce you to, hey.
Oh no, someone's casting sleep on me. Ah, dang, they got me. Now here I am. For 1 minute, according to 5e. Oh look, I'm dreaming about Describe again. I mean, I get it, how could I not? It's got this massive curated library of descriptions, like NPCs, magic items, monsters, and locations, all professionally written and just waiting to drop into a session. Also, it has music, maps, ambient sound effects, and even a place to add your own notes, so everything you need is kind of in just one place. And you can search by theme or mood, and it even connects to your VTT, so you're not scrambling when your players are throwing you a curveball in the middle of the session. It's literally my dream prep space, like literally. Oh crap, I'm waking up. Use code FANTASYFORGE at checkout. Did anyone else just dream of a sponsor?
So if you want to give it a try for yourself, click the link in my description and use my code FANTASYFORGE at checkout. Now, the fourth thing is access to movement. This one part people seem to forget all the time, and it's not enough for a city to be just near a resource or to have cool geography. It also needs to be connected to something. Cities grow where people are already going. They pop up at crossroads, they pop up at river forks, ferry crossings, trade routes, canyon passes. I can't think of anything else, but anywhere that there's movement that naturally bottlenecks. If people have to pass through a place, someone's going to build an inn, and then somebody's going to need to build a blacksmith to supply the inn and the local people with those tools that they need to keep it going. And then as the town grows, then somebody will put up a wall because there's going to be something bad happens one day, somebody gets attacked and they realize we should probably do something about that and put up a wall. And then you're going to need homes for people, and then boom, 200 years later, it's a city-state. Look at your map and ask yourself, where would people actually travel? Where are the mountains forcing them away? Where are the rivers shallow enough to cross? Where would two cultures or kingdoms need a neutral middle ground? And I think more importantly, what's stopping them from skipping your town entirely, right? Because why should they go up this road and hit your town instead of going to the city, 2 miles to the left or whatever? So if you want a thriving trade hub, there needs to be a reason for people to go there instead of the next dot on the road, like we said. And that could be a bridge. Big reasons that a town grows, by the way, are bridges. Because somebody needs to get across the bridge, and in order for that to happen, somebody needs to be there to not only build the bridge, but also to keep it going and to probably charge people while they cross it. And honestly, it's much easier to march a little farther, because if you're moving troops, it's easier to march a couple miles up the road to get to the bridge than to try and build one for yourself. So a ferry, again, ferries, transportation, that's big. People are going to go to the ferry in order to be able to cross the river. A portal nexus, if you're in a fantasy world, that's huge. That's still considered transportation. You're moving people through a portal to another place. People are going to converge there. Even something as simple as a market that runs once a year or biannual or something like that, it gives people access to these unique items. So you have a nice artisan town, or you have a market hub, and every once a year, twice a year, there's a big festival and people from neighboring smaller towns will come there. So realistically, it could be as simple as this is the only town with a safe path through a cursed forest or around a mountain, and that's okay. Just remember, it's not the next dot on the map. Now at number 5, we have specialized trade or services, and this one is kind of self-explanatory. They do something that nobody else does, or they do it better. So they do it more efficiently, they do it cheaper, they do it with magic, whatever it is. This place has a niche or a niche, however you want to say it, and that niche is what put it on the map. So think about real world cities, for example. Hollywood is known worldwide for movies. Detroit is known for its factories and its cars, right? It's called Motor City. Silicon Valley has its tech. For you, it can be the creation of a unique magic item. It can be that the Smiths have the sharpest blades in the world because they have some ancient technique that nobody else knows. Or if you want to do something really cool and fun, then what about something for entertainment, right? Like a fantasy Vegas or a remote location where people go to watch these annual Aurora events or something like that, right? People like to have fun. It's okay to put in things like that. So if there's something that only a culture would know about or a town would have access to, then you would probably have a town, if not a bustling city. Now, number 6 is a seat of government. And again, this one is very simple because sometimes a town exists just because some rich guy said he wanted to live on the top of a mountain. And now he has a castle that requires servants, and those servants need homes, and now those homes need services and goods and food. And so blacksmiths pop up, farms pop up. A small town becomes a local thing, right? And it might grow and expand and become strong and then gain influence and turn into a location that now has walls and people will stop at. And even more so if that person is a king or a ruler of some kind with real power. And then finally, at number 7 is cultural power. If we can take an example from Avatar, for example, they live in Home Tree, a massive tree that has cultural significance to them. And so they live near their spirit tree. Even on Earth, there are towns that exist simply because a church was placed there first. And then that grew into a place of importance that needed caretakers, it needed servants, it needed priests, then it needed defenses, it needed agriculture, and so on, and now you have a town. And after all, this is fantasy, so there can 100% be mystical reasons that fit that bill too. A holy city that's built around the ruins of a fallen god, or again, there's a tree nearby that produces a sap that can only be found in this area, and for some of the local culture, it's actually a very religious sap. They call it the blood of the tree or whatever. I'm literally just making that up. But that's essentially the big thing here, right? Is that if they don't have a defense, if there's nothing geographically happening there, if they don't have a way to get there, if there's no seat of government, if they don't have a specialized trade or service or thing that's available in the area, and if there's no cultural reason to bring people here, then a town probably wouldn't exist here, right? There has to be something. So if you think I missed something, leave it in the comments down below for our fellow DMs. I'm sure I missed something. I miss something in every video, but let me know in the comments down below. I want to hear it. Wait, do you hear that? Do you hear those drums? Do you hear that enchanting flute? Could it be? Yes, it's time for the shoutouts. King Sci-Fi says, Tobias, one of the young professionals. Such a great video. Again, just love watching your videos and keep thinking about my campaign and improving the story behind everything after each of your videos. Much love. I really, really appreciate the kind words. I hope they help just a little bit. And, you know, if there's anything that I can do that you can take away, anything that's going to benefit your world building in any way, that's what I'm here for. Assailus? One of those has got to be right? What party is Tobias hosting? Tobias is hosting all kinds of parties. You can actually sign up for the list. There's a link in the description down below. Maybe you can go to a Tobias party. That sounds weird. Someone with some name says, I saw Tobias reading our comments. I see me reading my comments. I see me seeing you. I'm reading your comments and I'm seeing there's a screen here. And if I do an infinity thing, then I can do it too. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you were paying attention, let me know in the comments where you saw Tobias, and you just might get shouted out in the next one. As always, forge on, my friends, and remember, keep your party rogue in sight at all times.